Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new look. Answer the call. Again, thank you to Rigamix. He has helped out so much. I think you guys have seen some rebranding type stuff going on in the stream and YouTube and things like that lately. So I do want to thank you guys all very much for all the kind words around this. It's been really, really cool. And I just feel, I don't know, I just feel like more professional. It feels really good. So today's topic are a lot of topics. So it's going to be, I'm going to do the monologue as short as possible. Ship sales. First one, the Antares, which is what I feel is an incredibly power creep situation where a ship is now able to be used that has multiple very useful things, which are a QED and an EMP on them. No ship has this as far as I'm aware, and it feels incredibly power creepy. And I think that's super problematic because all the EMP or QED ships that you've used in the past may not be as good as they used to be. May or may not be. It feels power creepy. Want to hear your opinions on that. Other ship sale things. I don't think we had the ability to discuss on Answer the Call about the fact that they took the ships from 317.2, I believe, which was Corsair, C8R, and Cutter, I think. They had them in-game for sale for in-game credits, and then they pulled them out during the PTU. A lot of people's excuses were, this is the PTU, things change. The reason they did this is to make more money. There's no other reason behind it. They says, basically, if a ship comes out in 317.1, in 318.1, that ship should be put in game and sold for real credits. Approximately a 90-day period, because every 3 months they're supposed to release a patch. That's their planned releases. That's what they said that they want to do. And 318 happened. It didn't work out, right? And it comes down to this. Yes, it is based off the patches sometimes. My personal feelings, this is a unique situation. Throw the community a bone. It would have been a really good thing to do. It is a greedy thing to do what they're doing now. Then, there's more. Very minor thing. They talked about a meeting on ISC instead of, like, really about the juice. And Jared kind of apologized for that on Star Citizen Live. Do want to get your feelings on how that, like, made you feel, things like that, maybe. Very minor thing. I think not as incomparable to the last one. The last one, I think, is the worst. CIG warned a player for spawn camping a Carrack. Now, a Carrack medbed. Yes, they spawn camped. Spawn camping is a negative thing to do, and it should be a bannable thing when the game is done. When you make it be the game that it's supposed to be, CIG. I think moderating situations like this are really problematic, and I don't like it. Because it is not the player's fault that the game mechanics are bad. Okay? Not at all. It is not the player's fault that the game mechanics are not good. It is CIG's fault that the game mechanics are not good. That's how I feel about that situation. And it comes down to the fact that all we need to do is resolve the in-game issue with, I think, a lot of obvious solutions. And I don't think we should blame the players for playing the game that you've put out there. You should be very happy that people even play this game, because it is very unpolished, very finished, and every situation is tier 0, just like that one, right? Hot take wasn't spawn camping. Let's hear what people have to say. So join the show. If you guys are into Answer the Call, you really like the show, we do it Sunday mornings. I am going to really try and do something Friday evenings Eastern time to get some more US stuff in the future as well. Sunday mornings, 9-10 a.m. Eastern time, twitch.tv/SaltEMike, and we do it all through Discord, discord.gg/SaltEMike. So guys, feel free to join those and join the show today. I think we have 1, maybe 2 spots left for today's show. But without further ado, let's go ahead and bring on our first guest, Witters. Witters, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I hear you great. Welcome.
Yeah, good to be on the show. I've
Good to
watched
have
on
you.
and off a while, so it's it's good to be on.
Nice, man. So yeah, what do you think about all this What is the subject or subjects you're thinking about touching on?
It's a lot to unpack. I thought it was mainly the ships being patched out. That was the main thing, but
Okay.
I
You don't have to touch on other things. It's just whatever you're in the mood to touch on.
Oh yeah. Well, the ships being patched out. I mean, there's literally like no reason. Like I can't think of anything that I might be able to understand if they took out one potentially because of like balancing issues, but taking out three at the exact same time, like just after the sale. I mean, it's a bit too suspect. Like it just kind of screams like. To be honest, in my opinion, what I think happened was basically the marketing team spoke with QA or whatever kind of testing, and they realized they got the maximum value out of it, and they just realized that the time that it was available in game was just too long, so they just wanted to take it back out.
Yeah, like I just look at it this way: I mean, I feel really bad for one person in this scenario, and it's Jake. Jake like clearly went to other people and checked on this before posting and saying that all these the other part of the story is a CIG community manager, Jake, said that these ships were going to be for purchase in game. Like all ships through these days.
That's not a good look.
And then they pulled them even after that. It's just like it just shows like they can't even be like, yep, you know what? We would have wanted to keep that a little bit longer in the in-game shop only, but even after making all those mistakes, still did it. Like the greed is real there, is what it feels like to me. And it just, damn, it sucks.
I mean, if it's a case of they kind of planned that they should only have it a certain amount in sort of the PTU before they put it onto live or whatever, and it's sort of a planned window, then maybe just release the ships at a later date when they know it's close to release or something. But it's the fact they put it in and then took it back out, and then it just kind of screams incompetency like that level. So it's a bit cringe.
I mean, we know they're incompetent, especially when it comes to communication wise. Like it's just been that way for years. I don't think like necessarily from a game development side they're super incompetent, but they definitely have their issues with communication, and it sucks. And what it screams like to me is that the real powerful people here are not the people who are making decisions that are in the game. The person who purchased a video game's interest, the person who wants to play it. Like I said purchased a video game, so some dummy's gonna say you pledged, you didn't purchase a video game. Shut up, you're stupid. We all bought this and bought ships because we wanted to play the video game at some point. You're dumb, shut up. I don't want to hear those comments anymore. They're so stupid. The idea of somebody having more power than the people who decide how fun the game is insane to me. The fact that that's even a thing is mind-blowing.
Yeah, I think it's more telling of the relationship in between the game devs and management, really.
Yeah, and like who's actually in charge, you know?
Who's calling the shots.
Yep.
I kind of caught up on the Carrick pirate thing.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, I agree with you there. I mean, you can't really punish people for exploiting a rule set if there is no rule set. Like, there's no gameplay loop to establish that. I mean, both players weren't doing anything wrong. I mean, yeah, it's an unpleasant experience for both the fact that the pirate has an immortal player that he is fighting, and the guy basically was trapped on a ship. I mean, yeah.
Who's at fault here? It can't be either player.
Yeah, I mean,
CRG. Be either player. It just can't be.
It baffles me the fact that anyone would be punished in that scenario. It's just I think the main reason is the fact that if anyone shows intent that they're exploiting things, that's when you enforce things.
Yeah, I think it opens a really interesting conversation of, and I think a lot of people are missing this fact, especially the people who are making decisions on like priorities at CIG a little bit, is that there really are no safe spaces for other players in game. So there's a lot of hatred going towards the Pirates in these scenarios because players feel that the game is turning into something that they didn't back. And you know what? The Pirates at some point feel that it's been that way for them too. And there's been a lot of mechanics in the game that have been anti-pirate for a very long time. Now there's a lot of mechanics in game that are very pirate friendly, right? Where it's making their lives a little easier. And I think players are getting concerned, and I think that rightfully so, where there's no safe system, there's no safe place for them to kind of interact with the game mechanics right now without anybody potentially getting in the way. And I think that that's a really, really serious issue that CIG needs to be looking at in the very near future. The fact that the next system we go to is a Pyro and not a Terra is, I think, super problematic. And I think people have their expectations of what should come next. But after Pyro, since that's like they've committed, it needs to be a high sec system that is where players can go and mine and cargo haul and do little ship meetups and do whatever they want to do with very little unwanted player interactions.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to establish expectations of what you can expect in Stanton compared
Does
to
Stanton
Pyro.
become more high security after Pyro comes out? Maybe that's a solution to that problem as well, right?
I mean, there's no security beacons really. There's combat assist beacons, but there's no response from the sort of local security or anything. So
Yeah,
apart from getting a wanted level, but that's really it.
yeah, yeah. It is somewhat problematic. I mean, again, I think that there should be risk and reward. Is like if you're in the safe system, you should not be making the money that we make in the current game. But it's still a situation where players might just want to hang out and have a little bit of chill, and always having to look over your shoulder isn't the best thing either. But yeah, Witters, I don't know. Is there anything else you want to add? Anything else you want to touch on? I did talk a lot over you. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. With server meshing, I mean, I just completely turn off anything to do with 4.0 or Pyro pretty much.
Okay.
Like unless there's something tangible, I'm completely switched off from it.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure what the purpose of the during the meeting thing was. The fact that we're either working on it or that they're having problems and to expect it later. I'm not really sure on that.
It didn't like give me that much more confidence or that much less. It was the thing.
I mean, to be honest, I think they should be working more on just getting Stanton as functioning as possible. If they had a functioning economy with trading, smuggling, some level, I don't know how they can manage piracy at this point without some big gameplay mechanics at the minute. But if they essentially just get some proper gameplay loops working rather than because they might get delayed for like another 3 months plus. We have no idea up until it gets to like, unless I sit in ISC is like, oh, this is what we have at the minute.
Yeah.
If they're just talking about theoreticals, it's just wild guesses at that point.
They do seem very confident, and for me, when it's not Chris talking, I just have more confidence in whatever the words come out of their mouths. So I just kind of stick to that, and I'm just happy that it is being like it's happening, right? Whether it happens is a whole nother story, but it's happening. They're trying it. They're actively working on actual server meshing and not all the 10,000 steps that lead up to it. You know.
Yeah, I mean the closest to the actual dev who's working on it, the better, really. So like the actual dev who's the dev team or the dev leader. But if you go further up in the management, it gets more theoretical. Like, oh, we kind of hope it's at this time frame, but it's a lot more inconsistent.
Yeah.
The Antares, that's gonna be a difficult one. I don't know how they can balance that.
No matter what, it just seems dumb. Like. We see that there's 2 seats. So what does the person in the back seat do? Yeah, there's an image with it. So like there's 2 seats.
That's even worse.
So does the person in the back just press the the buttons? Like, is that all you do, or are there plans to make EMP more engaging? What the heck, you know? So I think for the Antares, it's more of a wait and see kind of situation, but it's also just like I think we
Is
need
it
to
just
let them know like you can't keep power creeping and making
Yeah.
previous ships that we purchased not as viable. It's fucking stupid.
Is it just EMP or is it QT intercept as well?
It is the preventing you from going into quantum, and
Yes.
so I forgot what that one's called. It's QED, I think, because the
Yeah.
interceptor is the one that
Quantum
pulls you
complete
out
distortion.
when you're already quantuming, but that is not on there,
Okay.
right? And this one,
Wait, so sorry, which one wasn't on there?
I think this one is
The-
snare. This is the one that like I have found you at
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
Daymar, and I'm preventing you from leaving.
Yeah.
It's basically
That's
like a
gonna be
route,
yeah.
and then you
That's-
can EMP them.
Oh god.
So it's like,
Yeah, I really struggled to. I mean, it's the fact that it's because it's a fighter. It's going to be pretty fast. It's highly combat effective. It's got a lot of DPS.
am I wrong, guys? Did I get it wrong? Chat's telling me it's wrong.
I
Which
mean,
way is
yeah.
it? Are you pulling them out of quantum and then?
I thought it was the same thing with QT, the red field. I thought it was both
Yeah, it was
intercept
red.
and snare.
Did I get it right or did I get it wrong? I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure I had it right. I just might have been saying the words wrong of what is what, but what the ship does, I believe I have correct, is you prevent them from leaving, and you can whatchamacallit, you EMP them.
Yeah, but that's
So
just
I
gonna
might
make
just be
Mantis
getting the
entirely
terminology
redundant.
wrong because I never fly the Mantis.
Yeah, I haven't got it either. Yeah, I don't know how the hell they're gonna balance that. If they add any other ones that can do that as well. I mean, as a combat ship, that can intercept as well. I might be able to see it with all the bounty hunter ships, but when it's designed as a pure combat ship, you can't you can't add more features to that because it's just gonna make all the other ones that are purposely built for that just entirely redundant, like immediately.
Yeah.
So
I think it just, you can look at it this way, is that if there are two people in the ship and that's the only way that it works, well, why wouldn't you use a Mantis and an EMP ship then? Because then you also have additional guns and functionality and DPS and all these extra things that come along the line. So there is some possible balance there. But even if that's the case, CIG made a ship where the person sits in the back of the second ship and presses a button. You know?
yeah.
So it is kind of like, did you really, you know, best damn space game ever? Like, what? No.
The only way I can see them possibly balancing is the fact that while you're using it, you can't really use the weapons, or that the bubble is a lot smaller. That's really the only way I can see it being balanced. Otherwise, I mean, it's going to be broken on release, and then they'll just nerf it quite a lot by like within the first few weeks or first few months.
Yeah.
So it's just going to be a sort of similar pattern. But yeah, I'm puzzled on that one.
Yeah. Well, all right, Ritters, we'll let you go because we kind of touched on a lot of topics, and I don't want to leave anybody out. And the queue is getting longer and longer and longer. So future people will have to make our points a little bit quicker if we want to get everybody in today.
Yeah, it was good speaking to you.
Nice to speak to you too, man. Thank you.
All right. Yep.
Bye now.
See ya.
All right. And our next caller, I'm just going to get this set up now, is Gobo Carter. Gobo, welcome. Can you hear me?
Yep. Hello.
All right, great. Hello. So what do you want to touch on?
I guess continuing where you guys are on the Antares. I'm still like relatively newer to the game, but I do feel like it's either going to be either overpowered or pointless in my opinion, because it's either going to be...
It can only go those two ways. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you have just a second seat and that's the only person who can use the abilities, then why don't they just get in their own Mantis or whatever and then be able to use whatever else?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. But
Yeah, it feels pretty ridiculous.
absolutely, it's insane. Um, it just it makes me feel like one thing and one thing only. It just makes me feel like a consumer and not a backer or a part of a community, or that they care about my best interests. I'm just here to purchase ships and keep things going. It's not about. I always really feel that if you make the game as fun and good as possible, the game will sell itself. And they're still continuously trying to sell the ship and not the game. Now, I think with other topics like the Carrick Medbed and other things, it does open up the fact that, well, there's a lot of pieces of the game that need to be fixed to make the game good. Because this is just one tiny little thing, but look at how big of an issue it caused, right? And there's many of these tiny little things all around the game. So prioritizing those things are hard. But I think it's just easier for them to draw up a pretty picture and sell a ship than it is for them to make the game good.
Yeah. In this case, it felt odd because, like, joining, especially like looking at the last few ships they've put out, like the Corsair, even the Mule, that's supposed to be useful at some point.
Mm-hmm.
The I forget what it's called, but like I felt like they were putting things that were like useful or interesting. Oh, the Centurion is what I was thinking of.
Yeah,
and then suddenly they just drop this, and it's either you're selling something overpowered or just gimmicky, in my opinion.
It just feels like low effort.
Yeah,
right. It feels
1000%.
really low effort. It's like, let's take a ship we already have and two mechanics we already have, put them together, and done. Even though the Centurion was also exactly like that, and it was low effort, it was solving a problem that existed in the game. Like, we definitely felt that we needed it. I think the Centurion could use a buff or 2 or 3. It could definitely use some help because it's not as effective as it could or probably should be down there, like a jump town. But at the same time, I think the reason behind selling that, you will have never heard me say one negative thing about that vehicle. So I don't just complain about any ship or any vehicle that sold. That made sense. It was solving a problem that was in the game, and it was great. I loved the idea of that. This, I hate it. Nobody asked for this shit. Nobody was saying this was a problem.
Yeah, I think that's why I like your content too. It's just very grounded and real, and it's like, because they do some really stupid shit.
Sure, but I mean, I'm not right often either, right? Like, we're not in there. We don't know exactly what's happening, but I just say how I feel in the moment at the time. Like, I never want to claim that I'm telling the truth. I'm just telling my truth in the way that I see the world. And I think some people are seeing things similarly more now than ever to the way I see them because of how long things have been and how often they continue to do stupid shit like this. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't want to be anybody's like savior or anything here, because it's just not the case,
I think they can only throw so many ships in, saying either like this, where it's just feels really dumb, or then you've got like ships like where they throw out the Legionnaire and they're like, oh yeah, hacking and all this, and then we don't hear a word about it for the next how many months, and it's like, eventually you're like tired of it.
Yeah, concepts are a whole nother thing. I mean, we had that drama a few months back with the Galaxy, right? Is like, hey, ship modularity is going to be a thing, and then, yeah, well, where is it, bro?
Yeah, when's the last time we heard about that?
Yeah,
I think
the
that
Galaxy sale. That's it.
That one bugged me because it was like, I've only been here so long, but like I immediately just saw the Legionnaire in that, because it's like, how long have they been talking about modularity? How long have they been talking about hacking? Yeah. It's like, I already know everyone's been talking about how it's been so long.
Yes, and for the people who have been around a lot longer than you, I mean, just imagine why some of them are just losing their minds, and seem more unreasonable about these minor issues than you probably feel they should be, right? It's just because it's been so long. Same thing over and over again.
I didn't get it at first. At first, I was very much just buying into everything they said, and everyone's telling me, no, that's not really the case, or keep some patience. I bought the Legionnaire concept, and then then I quickly realized after a little while, I guess not so quickly, but yeah.
Here's the decent thing with that. You could take that concept ship, you can melt it, you can rebuy it later when it comes back. It has everything it had there, I believe. I don't think I'm wrong on that one. I'm not much of the website game player, but you can buy something that's currently in game and use it. That's more useful,
melted it a while ago.
Yeah, buybacks are great.
And then to touch on the whole Carrick thing, when the last guy said about how like the intent on exploiting it, I don't think either player was in the wrong or right in this case. But if you're talking about exploiting, it was like they were, to be fair, he was trying to like talk to him and whatever. And he's trying to win. He's trying to play his pirate gameplay. And then the other guy is, trying to keep his ship. We've said that like how many times, but like, and at what point does it become the spawner is griefing? But like not, but again, like he's just using a game mechanic. The med, yeah. And it's like, they don't have to introduce a whole game mechanic. Just give them the ability to just remove their imprint. Or something like that. Something simple that not necessarily balanced yet, but it's going to be something.
People have made 1,000 references to games. Like Rust was brought up 1,000,000 times in my YouTube video that like when I was reacting to Letty, who happens to be in the queue here today too. So if you guys are listening, it's going to get spicy here at the end. I think he's the last caller. The thing that I look at is there's other games that have already solved this problem. So we don't necessarily need to make the solutions for them. Like we don't need to tell them what the best solutions are because they already exist. And we just need them to go, yes. So this tier 0 feature needs to be brought up to just a little bit of a higher level to fit with the way the game is playing now. It should, I look at this, everything takes longer than you think it should as a player versus a game developer, but adding a cooldown is a very quick and simple solution that you see in other games that could be a placeholder solution for now and call it a day.
Yeah, I think 100%, but CAG has to make their own solutions to everything.
Exactly. And or make none and then tell players that they're getting banned for it. It's insane.
Oh, yeah.
So.
And yeah, one more note that I had on what you guys were talking about before. The whole Stanton becoming safe, unless they really fix AI, I don't know how much having a beacon out would be helpful. And I don't think Pyro is necessarily going to change a whole lot because it's like, as a pirate, it's like they're going to be going after, the way I see it, I would think they're looking for cargo runners. And where are those cargo runners going to be anyway? They're going to be in Stanton. So how much is that dynamic going to change?
Are you familiar with, it's not a mechanic that's in game right now, but it's something that was very much talked about last year and has been off the radar ever since, is long-term reputation.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, I never saw their video on it, but I've heard people talking about it a bit. I don't fully understand what that entails.
So none of us do. It was all very vague, but the understanding would probably be if you committed a crime, then yes, you would have a crime stat and would have to deal with those problems in the short term, but there would be long-term effects like Crusader security would have negative rep for you and they would attack you on site. Maybe when you come into a system, if you're so bad, it would be alerted that you're there. And Pyro would not have any of those effects. You might be able to gain rep with the pirate gangs in those systems, and they would let you land at their stations, stuff like that. So it could start to create those safe spaces in a system like Stanton, where if a pirate came near Everus Harbor, it would go crazy. But I also agree the AI have to be more effective for this to truly work. It just comes down to, we would hope that would be the case by the time we're talking about our 3rd star system or whatever, right?
Yeah, hopefully they have something in place in the next few years.
Yeah, that'd be nice. But yeah, first time caller, I believe. Gobo, is there anything else you want to touch on? Thank you for calling, though. That's for sure.
Nothing I feel like I can bring anything to the table to.
Okay, well, thank you again for calling. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. Bye now. All right, and our next caller is Johnny. Johnny, what's up, man?
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. I'm good, man. Things are going decent. I'm going to try to turn my camera on if that's okay.
That'd be great.
However, my OBS webcam is rebooting Discord when I do it sometimes, so if it does, I'll be right back in 2 seconds.
No problem. Let's bring him in. The green room's going to be locked, so go down to the gray room. It's all the way down in live, Johnny, if you're listening. I knew it was going to happen. Oh, that's funny. I'll give you some background on Johnny. He's got like a business background. He's come on. He's talked a lot about some cool things. Or the mods can unlock the green room. That would be nice as well. And I'll just pull Johnny down and we'll leave everybody else up there. That's so funny. There he is. All right, Johnny, welcome back. I guess we're not going webcam. Oh, we are. Hello.
It happened. I know. I just set it up today. Hey, buddy. Yeah, I've been working on that a little bit. Things are getting better on the home life side. Kiddo's doing a little better and stuff. But
good.
Yeah, things have been going better. I'm not back at work yet, but I should be within a month or so, which will be really nice.
Nice. So yeah. I know you made a comment on the YouTube video about the server meshing thing. Is that what you want to touch on mostly?
Not really. I somewhat kind of agree with you on that point, right? Like I really enjoy that content because I like the inside view of process within companies in general. So not even just specifically CIG. I like the startup entrepreneurship stuff, and process is really interesting to people in that funnel. But outside of it, everyone's like, I don't care, right? Like, can you just get me the product? I just want the product. Like, I don't
Talk to me
care
when
how
you have the product.
made.
Yeah, like when you have server meshing, show me the cool stuff you did with it. That I'm fine with that, and I have no qualms against guys like you who enjoy it and are excited about it. I'm just not. So when I say I'm not, I don't know why people get mad at me because I say that I'm not. I don't get mad at you for being excited about it. You know.
I don't know either, honestly. Well, I kind of do because your shtick is great and I love it. So let's leave it at that, right? You pull the audience in that way.
It's not a shtick. It's me.
I know, but it's you is what makes it so real and delightful to watch, right? That it's not a shtick, but your content format is very enjoyable, right? In that sense, it pulls us in. I really like it because it creates dialogue, right, around the community. Now, the one actually I want to focus on is the chaos one. I'll touch base on the other ones really quickly, though. Antares, it's kind of crap, man. When they had the interdictor, so what you were talking about is the interdiction, which pulls people out. That's a 20-kilometer bubble one. And that pulls you out of quantum, right?
Yeah, and
it also acts as a dampener as well. That's only on the Mantis right now.
Okay.
So that also acts as a dampener and a 20-kilometer range dampener. It's great. Only can be used in space. You can't use it in Atmo, right?
Yep.
And then you have the dampener, which is the 4K one, which the Mantis also has, right? And the Blue has, the Cuddy Blue has.
Okay.
And then obviously the EMP, which the Mantis, the Warlock and the Sentinel share. Okay. Having it all in one ship was like, okay, I get that you guys need to have a heavy fighter platform and you kind of need something that's a little more robust in combat because the Mantis is like, you shoot its engines off, it's dead. It's like, it takes 2 shots, right? Especially with like ballistic changes. So I can kind of see them sidestepping, like, and this is why I don't like it, is that they're sidestepping around addressing the core issues with the older ships by introducing a newer model with the same features that don't necessarily have those issues because it takes a lot more effort. So, and I get sales and marketing, and this is the same thing with like pulling the ships from PTU, and I kind of understand that one too because their policy is actually in the PU, not just being from this point of sale, from my understanding. So people that buy it with cash,
also based off of patches releasing more consistently, and when this one didn't, I was just like, I'm only saying this specific scenario. That's it.
I 100% agree that they need to take the L on some of these things occasionally. Yeah, throw the bone.
Throw the bone.
Chaos.
To the players.
this is the one that I really disagree with CIG in, and I believe they are in the wrong for this one.
Yeah.
Not necessarily on the game mechanics, but on a governance model.
Yeah.
So if you're going to run a platform that has emergent gameplay that requires a producer and a consumer, and in this case, Chaos Squad was the producer. They basically replaced the PvE mission side of it with a dynamic emergent gameplay from people, and it's super valuable. And the other player was the non-cooperative, I would say, honestly, griefer, because he was abusing a game mechanic to continuously try to regain control of the ship when clearly it was an L. And Captain Dirty was like, Captain Dirty, Mongrel, and the rest of them do it really well. They do step on eggshells around it because there's not a clear representation of the rules of the platform, and it's not applied consistently. So in this scenario, what CIG should have done is not a warning, but an ask. Going to both the players, saying, hey, we recognize that Captain Dirty, you were actually very cooperative in this. In the future, we would ask, though, if someone's this uncooperative to you, just back out, right? And snap it, send us the details. We're not going to punish the player, but we are going to collect that data to try to make our algorithm, or whatever we're using in the background for this dynamic mission, emergent gameplay, blah, 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 that when we kind of try to bring people together, we'll avoid putting you with someone who's going to react this way.
Yeah.
Because it's shitty for you. You're putting a ton of time in to create this content for people like me or you who would be like, holy shit, it's Captain Dirty. Holy fuck, this is great. Right? Like, oh my God. Okay, boys, it's on,
Yeah.
right?
It's
we took
on,
the
or
L.
I'll pay
Shit,
'em
nice.
or whatever. Yeah.
Fucking A, man. You guys got in there, right? You took us out. You were real professional and on point. Holy crap, I'm making some content from this. Thanks, guys. Like, Chaos Squad, destroyed Johnny and his team, right? Type
But
thing. It's fantastic. But the people
thing
that
is,
don't want
like,
it.
people will say that, like, I'm even seeing in Twitch chat, that's the right approach. No, there's no right or wrong approach. There's the approach that you, the player, wants to take. And I do think from the pirate side, there's a little bit of, like, I don't want to use the word propaganda, but a little bit on the side of this player is absolutely, like, calling them a Karen. All these things
That's not fair.
It's not fair to
It's
that
not.
player. That player doesn't want to be in that situation. That player isn't excited about the player-to-player interaction. And
Exactly.
yes, those things have to happen in the game sometimes. It's going to happen to you. But at the same time, the player is... It's the same thing as Alt F4ing. It's the same thing as backspacing and blowing up your ship and stuff like that. That when they had that ability, they were using it against the pirates, and they're going to continue to use these mechanics against pirates until those mechanics are fixed. And I think it's a fairly simple fix here,
Because it's a governance model issue for them too.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they should have approached both players, and the one that was really griefing, which honestly in this place, it is the blue player that was griefing the pirates by not accepting the L and using a game mechanic that allowed them to basically not accept that outcome, right? When in any other scenario, CIG was a little bit farther along, let's say hacking gameplay that someone brought up, pirates get in, maybe you get a couple spawns in so you have a chance to recover. And then before they hack into your security system that then says, no, we're shutting you off, done. And now this ship is ours, right? We have full control of it.
This is where it's
not in the med bay, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but this is where we come in. And the saying, if CIG was further along, is not a... It is a valid excuse in that moment, in that specific scenario that happened. But this is the point where, like, they talk about how great it is interacting with this community, right? And how we can help prioritize features and why. This is that moment. This is the moment where instead of bashing the player who abused this mechanic, that you go to CIG and say, this has to happen. This has to be a thing that you should and can prioritize now. Let's do it. Do something very duct tapey and just put something in that'll work for the time being.
Or just apply the rules of the platform consistently to both players. And that's all they really need to do, because all they're doing is managing that interaction. That's all their game systems are doing. All that stuff in the long run is just to manage that interaction between people that really may not want to initially, and there can be uncooperative gameplay that's really valuable, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to get into the weeds of that. But on this one, I really think that their policy at this stage is say, hey, this is an alpha, right? Like, we do not have the full systems in place. We don't even have our full governance model in place yet, how to handle these interactions between two players that are essentially non-cooperative. One that doesn't really want the interaction, and one that really wants it. Now, that onus and responsibility is on them as the platform owner and holder, right? But we're not there yet. And so to warn just chaos that we might ban you if you do this again is total shit. And I'm
It's
just going to call it as total
awful.
shit.
Yeah.
It's it's just bullshit on that side. You go to them and ask them to be you can give them an ask, and then if they don't follow that ask, then maybe you can put some sort of incentive in for them to, or deterrent in for them to not do that.
Yeah.
But what are they supposed to do in that? They spend hours sitting around trying to find some decent content, and we don't have a lot outside of something like Jumptown or SPK, but those ones are very focused more for the large combat crews, right? They're not really for a pirate gameplay per se.
Yeah.
They're more for Skunkworks and the bigger orgs that want to do big battles around them and stuff like that, and smaller teams that want some good PvP. But we don't have the shipping lane stuff where pirates can sit there and just have those interactions, and people know, oh, this lane is really dangerous, so if I'm going down it, I make big value, but also I can get some really good interactions, and that's what I'm looking for. So short term, maybe they slap a band-aid in for that. Honestly, a max respawn seems to be the most logical
Simple.
they can do it.
Yeah.
Whatever low-hanging fruit they can do to kind of alleviate that.
Because then
But
you
really,
just don't have
the
these
takeaway-
issues anymore, you know? You don't
Exactly.
have
I
to
was gonna say
manage.
that.
You don't have to do any of the management. Then you don't have to do any of the banning. Simple one dev.
You won't
throw
create
some code in.
turbulence
Exactly.
in the network. So by applying the rules inconsistently, they created a ton of turbulence, and now they have to apply more management time on it than they normally would have to. And it's the same thing with the ship issue, right? Or Antares a bit. I'm going to let it go because I think they pulled the interdiction off, and I'm like, okay, if they do that, then fine. It's competing with the Cuddy Blue then and the Warlock a bit. And if it's a
Then it's
two-manner,
fine.
if it's a
'Cause that's
two-manner
what
that
we
you have
want.
missile operator mode and EMP on one, or you can. I'm sure you can solo it.
Because that's
I'd
what
be
we
very
want.
surprised if you can't.
We want ships that are similar, and then you have choice of I like the way this one looks. This one is a little bit more leaning towards my style of gameplay. Whatever, right? It's not if you are going to EMP and if you are going to Pirates, this is the ship you use. But there's 4 other ships that are similar, but those just don't get used. Like the League of Legends model, where there's 10 champions that everyone's using all the time, and 90% of them are just sitting there dead. It's not where we need to be. And
I would like to see them put more time into the Blue, Warlock, and Mantis than pump out a new ship. But I get that it's easier to pump out the new ship and keep the sales funnel going. And sales and marketing have a lot of pull in this company, and that's normal. Every company they do, and it's just it's the reality of sales, right? It's a push and pull. But on this one, I think sales should have taken the L on the other two, and the Antares would be swallowed way easier. They're creating less turbulence in the system again by applying your rules consistently, even though you didn't get it to a live, a PTU patch, PU patch, where the people bought cash from it got exclusive access. Because come on, the Reclaimer didn't either, right? Again, it's inconsistent. The Reclaimer was released years ago, and the people bought it for cash, and all they got to do was fly for 3 months and not do any salvage with it. Come on, this is inconsistent. So who cares about the Vulture? It doesn't really matter. The people who wanted to back the game and pledge bought it early on for giving you money, not for having exclusive access per se. Some of them probably
people were
feel that
literally
way, but
they do. I mean, they were saying that I should have my exclusive access in the PU. I should be
part of
able
the
to
deal.
have the ship, and nobody has it.
And with a wipe on, it is very relevant in some ways. But then I look at it, I'm like, well, what are you getting that's exclusive? Nothing. I can pair up with
hold on?
buddies
Do you
that have
really feel
Reclaimer.
that exclusive access for a period of time is part of the deal?
I thought it was part of their cash sales. I thought that was part of their policy, is that people got that was part of
I never looked at it
bonus
that
of
way.
buying.
Yeah,
I thought I'm not saying if that is or not. I just thought that was their policy on it.
Interesting. Okay, because
that was part of the value offering.
It's funny because you look at it from the player perspective of I have it exclusively for a period of time. Where for me, I look at it to them as they're able to make the maximum profit for a period of time, and then they're going to go to the model of the game is also important. And
and this will drive sales. If it's released to 318, then it would definitely impact the sales of the Vulture, right? Because the Vulture's not in that package, right? It was just the Cutter, or was it the Vulture?
No, the Vulture's
just
not part of this at all. Cutter,
Pisces,
Corsair, and C8R.
Yeah, that's right. They're so pointless ones not to release.
Yeah,
because there's no special exclusive access to them. The Medbed is available on a ton of other ships.
Yeah,
the Corsair is just a decent LARPing ship, but it's okay-ish in combat, but there's no exclusivity with it. And the what's the other one there? The Cutter is, oh my god, it's just a starter ship.
Yeah, it's whatever. And the the thing for me is when you're pledging for the release of the game to have that leg up. That's how I've always looked at it. And when people are looking at it in another way than that, I just get confused. That's a weird one to me. But
so like on that one, whatever. But on the governance model for how they handle interactions between players, especially the ones that want to have an interaction and the ones that don't, they really need to start having like a summit on it.
Yeah. But for real, let's have a meeting.
I would
we
love
all
to be
get
at
to
that
read
summit.
it.
I would love to be at that summit. Honestly,
I want to hear.
I love governance models.
Yeah, why don't we have we should have a meeting on whenever they're going to sell ships too. We get the inside look on those. All the meetings we should be at in all of them.
Absolutely. Jared seems to love to do that content. He was just jive for it, right?
He's obsessed with it.
Ready to go.
It is not my cup of tea, so it drives me insane. My cup of tea is what we get next week on ISC. Torsten,
I like your
designer,
content lately too,
sits down, talks about an in-game mechanic that he's working on. Give it to me. I am excited for it. That is
the
my
mission
juice.
feature team one was great. Even the shot they took. I'm actually working on a piece. My current piece is talking more. That conversation me and you had on your ATC is kind of in that vein and exploring a bit more. But like even the shot they took at you was really funny. I thought.
Yeah.
I thought it was
cute, Elliot's always here. It's good times.
Elliot's,
me and Jared
exactly.
go way
I know
back.
that.
So it's fine. And
I am defending you in mine though. The legendary Burks killer of Fight or Flight. Like, how can you say he's not good at this game? What the hell, man?
True. I killed Captain Burks. Never forget that moment. But Johnny,
it was a real good moment, man. Anyway,
it was awesome. All right, buddy. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for your thoughts as always. And we'll see you soon.
Thanks for having me.
Be good.
Cheers, bud.
Bye. All right. So I will switch between scenes every time because when I do update, it does. I'm learning the new setup here, guys. I'm learning the new setup. So Nuclear Narwhal is here. Can you hear me, dude?
Yep, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I hear you great. Welcome.
Mind if I go cameras on?
Absolutely. Hopefully it doesn't kick you like Johnny. Welcome.
No, my camera is a little podunk Logitech
you're good,
720.
Man. You're good.
I'm working with the college student budget stuff.
Hey, nice. What are you studying?
Engineering.
Nice. You're going to be rich and you're going to be able to buy tons of spaceships.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
Yep.
Do you want to buy the Antares or what do you want to touch on today?
Okay. So, I think I was like going to go short to long on the list. I have some notes for the ISC where they covered the summit. I don't really have much to say on that other than it kind of just drives home this sinking feeling I have in my stomach because I remember back in 2016 they were doing stuff that was pretty similar to this where they were having a whole lot of talks about nothing and I just have that sinking feeling in my gut. We're here again.
For me, it feels the opposite. It feels like we're here, but the people who are talking are the people who have their hands on the keyboards making the things.
I guess maybe I'm just being like too doom and gloom.
It's funny that I'm the one who's not being, and other people are in this a little bit. But yeah,
You're losing your edge, Mike.
I had to talk Burks off the ledge, boys. He was losing it. We had like an hour-long conversation that the day that video came out. But yeah.
All right. So I think the next thing I want to touch on is ships delaying for purchase. That's another one that's pretty short. Obviously, that sucks.
Yeah.
Which gets into some bigger issues I have with the ship design in general in this game that kind of worry me. But and I mean, it's undeniable. It's about sales. And you were talking earlier about how people shouldn't have the mindset that, hey, I'm buying this for the exclusivity. Unfortunately, that the ability to flex like that is a huge driver of sales. Yeah. So I don't see them taking away that element of it anytime soon.
I agree. It's sad though, but it's inevitable, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I mean, all we can do is hope it's going to go away soon.
Yeah.
Any day now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's going into that kind of brings me into the Antares a little bit.
Okay.
You know, ship power creep has always been kind of the carrot killer is another thing that I think is just, endemic to how they need to drive sales in this game, and I think we're kind of stuck with it. Now this is like the latest and greatest in a series. I mean, this ship is basically just my OC ship. Please don't steal. You know, it can do pretty much anything and everything. I think the most practical thing we can hope for here is that it's kind of a Ubisoft strategy, right? Where they introduce. I don't know how many, like, if you've played Rainbow Six Siege or For Honor.
No, neither game. My only Ubisoft game is Anno 1800.
Fair enough. In both of those games, in my experience at least, it's pretty common practice for them to introduce something that's a little bit overpowered and then just tweak it down over time. So maybe that'll be what happens here. A few of the elements of the drama this week I had to get a bit of a crash course on before I showed up on the show. So
okay. I think it's what most. It seems like it makes sense to do so, because if it's not good, people aren't going to use it. So how do you get feedback on it and how you want it to work? So I think I think it's like a practice to almost do it on purpose. And it is frustrating because in Rainbow Six Siege, are you buying the things that they're adding? Right.
New characters, yes. Typically,
okay. So it is a very similar scenario then, where you're like, I paid for this because it was good, and now it's not. Now I'm mad. You know, and we've been through that before with like Inferno and other elements in the past.
Yeah, and I don't know. Maybe one of the. I'm kind of reminiscing because I'm an early backer, so I'm thinking of one of the early design docs. You remember the utility slot when that was going to be a thing?
Yes. Yeah.
Like I missed the utility slot.
The Aurora was going to be able to mine, guys. I don't know if you guys knew that.
Exactly. I feel like the Aurora is I know you hate Aurora hate, but I feel like the ship's been
love Aurora.
Good.
I love the Aurora.
No. I meant like hate Aurora, like people hating on the Aurora.
Well, it makes sense to hate on it now. Everything's better, you know? I just like the way it looks. That's about it now, you know?
Another thing I remember another caller bringing up is the League of Legends situation. I honestly feel kind of like we're in that League of Legends situation where, or if we're not there already, we're kind of getting there.
Fly the arrow, maybe the Vandal ship, the Blade, if you want to combat, you know. One cargo ship.
Well, I also think it's like an inevitable consequence of having so many ships in a particular, like, if you have so many ships in a role, essentially it's going to be sorted into three broad categories. The ones that just kind of fall below the average on all counts.
Yep.
The ones that are like have their niche uses, and then there's ones that are just Swiss Army knives. Like, this is the light fighter you want to pick if you want to be good for just about anything.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not super knowledgeable on the PvP meta in Star Citizen, but apparently, according to people I've talked to, I've been a victim of power creep. I fly a 325A. I remember back in the day, they used to talk about the 325A like it was the shit. I don't hear anybody talking about it anymore.
It used to be badass. That and the Super Hornet. I'm a victim of it too. Super Hornet used to be like it was even worse because I had the regular Hornet, but if you bought the Super Hornet, because you couldn't buy ships in game at the time or even rent them in Arena Commander, you had to buy the Super Hornet because it had more guns. So anybody who flew the Super Hornet just won the lobby every time because they had like 6 more guns than everyone else. So you were just stuck dying over and over again to people who weren't good but just had more guns.
Yeah, that one got done in by the Hurricane, right? Or something
more
like
recently, the Hurricane has now become like a pretty powerful thing. Yeah. Because turrets are powerful.
I think of it a lot like I think of weapons in Battlefield. Like there's so many weapons in each category in Battlefield, something's going to rise above the rest. That's pretty much inevitable, you know.
Yeah.
It's one of the many issues I have with CIG introducing so many ships for so many roles. Like, if they can do it, bravo to them. But it does worry me a little bit.
Yeah. Like, I feel like we can make them look different but act the same, and then you're just choosing your desirable look would be the best scenario, but rip. Here we are.
Yeah. I honestly thought like one of the best things for it was the approach they did to the alien ships, where like the Xi'an ship is essentially omnidirectional thrust. I thought that was a nifty approach to it. I have no idea how it'll work in design. But
I think people use them sometimes, but I don't know much about them either.
Mhm.
So now the big one.
Yeah, this is the one I have the most notes on. I'm not sure it's the one we'll be doing the most talking about. Ultimately, I did this was another one I had to crash course myself on. I'm struggling to figure out what this guy's crime was. Like, I play a couple of
Not
MMO.
dying.
Yeah.
Not getting killed by the other player. It's like,
I guess. But in a couple of the MMOs I play, like I play two MMOs that come to mind are Foxhole and PlanetSide 2, right?
okay.
And in both of those, critical to your, advancement, these are games also where you can kind of bring your spawns along with you. I know the scenarios aren't one-to-one, but it just makes me think. Locking down and shutting down spawns is imperative to player versus player combat. So if
yes.
If we're gonna go, let's go into Imagine Land for a second and say somebody's boarding a capital ship like the Idris at some point in the future, which is gonna have a med bay, I assume.
Mhm.
The first thing any serious boarding party that wants to take the ship is gonna do, they're gonna lock down med bay, right?
Yep.
Are they now committing a crime? You know,
How can that be a crime? It's insane.
Yeah. So I don't really. That's kind of that's just part of mass combat in a game that isn't like in a very cultivated environment like Battlefield or Halo or something where you can like manipulate the spawns a little more freely. That spawn camping is something they're more or less going to have to live with. And I mean, maybe Sig swallows or bites the bullet here and puts a button after you die. I know it's a UI that's not in game, it's not immersive, low fidelity.
Yeah. We don't like that.
Where you can just select to go back to your hospital. That would, I don't know.
It even is a UI in the game now. When you're downed, you have the choice of respawn. You could just add another line of text there, right?
Full disclosure, I haven't played in a while. I'm kind of waiting to get back into it.
You're all good. When you get knocked out, you have the choice to backspace and get sent to your previous spawn, or wait for somebody to respawn you. You could just add another button when you die. It's. I don't think there are so many obvious, easy band-aid solutions for this. Without making like a lot of people are like the medbed should have consumables and all these things, and it's like, okay, well, like that's like a real game mechanic that we don't expect them to prioritize right now. But a simple thing of just going, if there's a timer, I use the medbed, and then if I use it again within 2 minutes, I'm gonna spawn at my planet where you can't spawn camp there. So it's just simple stuff.
Yeah, and other than that, I don't know. I remember you. Never mind. That's off topic. I won't drift there.
You could go for it for a moment. What is it? I'm curious now. I'm just curious.
Just as a concern, I don't know why I wrote this down in my notes, but somebody made a comment on something about doing the high sex systems next.
Yeah.
And as far as enforcing security on that, that's a whole other can of worms if you think about it, because of their insistence of doing everything by AI. Like, if I'm going to armchair game dev for a second, I would think how Eve does it when someone violates high security systems. They basically have a ship drop in and they just drop a rod from God on you instantly. There's nothing like procedural or whatnot. So with the AI the way it is, I seriously wonder how they actually plan on doing any of those high sex systems or whatever.
I mean, I think they plan on the AI working better. Right?
Yeah, I suppose, but I feel like that's just the most difficult way to go about it. But I don't know anything, so
yeah, same. I would I would hope that the AI would work better one day, and by the time we're talking about the systems, it will be a thing. But I just doubt it. But yeah, I don't think that's off topic at all, because I think that that's the real issue, is that there's this gap being created between players who want PvP and players who don't, and the players who don't want PvP have nowhere to go.
Yeah, and the way Stanton is set up at the moment, It just
sucks for them. It sucks. Like you have to see it from their point of view as well. It fucking sucks to be players who don't want to deal with that.
And pretty soon now you're going to have ships flying around, quantum interdict, DMPing them, probably disrupting them at some point
with
in the
an
future.
SRV, tractor beaming them, and then and it's just like, come on. It's going to be insane. So that's how I look at it is you got to look at it from both perspectives. And I think neither side of this argument is looking at it from the other side whatsoever. And it's sad. It's really sad. But yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else you want to touch on? I think that was everything.
Nope. I got through all my notes.
Awesome.
A lot faster than I expected. I usually go off on massive tangents, so I managed to keep it together this time.
Nice. Well, that's good for the callers behind you, so I appreciate it. But nice to meet you. I don't think you've ever called in before. At least you've never called in with camera before.
Nope. This is my first time calling in.
Nice.
Usually, you've been kind of my replacement radio on long car rides.
Nice.
I catch up on my ATC on car rides.
Nice. Yeah, I've heard that a lot, and because of that, I've wanted to put it out in a audio format, but at the same time, I don't have a lot of time during the day, and adding that extra step is just a pain in the ass. So I haven't done it yet. So I apologize to all you people who like to listen in the car. I listen to podcasts in the car through YouTube as well. So I just have it. I have premium and I just press it, but I understand it's a pain in the ass for a lot of people. But thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for coming on, Nuclear, and good luck with school and everything. And yeah, but go ahead. You sound like you were going to say something.
Sorry. I have a bad habit of interrupting people. That was all.
So do I. Welcome.
So yeah, basically this was just the first time I'm a late riser by nature. So
you were lucky enough to be awake today.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right.
Well, later, man.
Good being on the show. Good night.
Nice to have you.
Good morning. Yeah.
Have a good morning. Bye.
Bye.
Oh man, that was funny. Saying awkward goodbyes are always great. So thank you again, Nuclear. That was really nice, and it was a fun conversation. And again, good luck in school with everything. Our next caller is Drake. Let me get him set up and ready to go. Hello, Drake. Drake?
Mike,
Are you the real Drake? Like,
dude, you got me live from Toronto right now.
Yo, sick.
No, my real name. That fucker's name is Aubrey, bro.
True. So is your real name Drake? I mean, it's definitely a first name. Yeah, nice.
Let me just dox myself real quick. It is.
No, I don't want to know your last name or anything, or where you live, or your credit card number, and your fleet. Tell me about your fleet.
Ooh, you want to know about my fleet, Mikey?
Yeah.
How big it is?
Yes.
No, I don't want to talk to you about my stupid fleet. I want to talk to you about the things I don't want in my fleet, the Antares.
Let me hear about it. All right.
So I like the Scorpius. I think it's cool. You know, it's obviously just an X-wing. It seems very strong. 8 size, 3 weapons when you have a co-pilot is not weak.
Definitely not.
And you know, I didn't know that they were going to keep the second seat in the Antares. I just learned about that while listening to another caller. It feels weird. Feels useless. Feels like somebody's going to be really bored.
Yes. Yes, it does.
And that's how I feel for a lot of my friends when I'm playing the game, because they feel like they're not as good of a pilot. So they want to sit in the co-pilot seat. And then they're just like, you know,
what do I do
F4.
now?
Yeah, third person camera looking at how neat everything looks.
Yep. And how long does that last, right? Maybe
exactly.
an hour, and then they're done.
Depending on who you are. I think you can get a lot out of it for a while, but I totally. You want to do something after a while.
Yeah.
But if the only thing that they're going to have, I heard somebody say maybe missiles, having missile control is cool. Maybe.
But missiles
I guess.
aren't that effective at the moment, so it doesn't feel like an exciting thing right now. I mean, some missiles are effective. Some are like you just can't avoid them. But for the most part,
and that doesn't
I think
feel
missiles,
good anyway.
Yeah, neither is a good situation.
or they're going to have access to the EMP or the QED.
Yeah.
Now, what's preventing the pilot from going into the weapons MFD and just, replacing the EMP with the QED and soloing it?
I don't
really
know.
understand.
It might not be possible. Like, when it comes to the Antares, I think there is a lot of wait and see that needs to happen. And I think that the conversations that we're having now gives them the opportunity to maybe change some thoughts and hear some feedback and maybe make some changes before they go live, or say that, this is what it is now, we'll change it later, or whatever. It gives them the ability to retcon whatever bad choices they made, because it seems like they made quite a few here. But I think for the most part, a lot of it is going to have to be wait and see. What does that person in the turret do? What do they have access to? What does the pilot have access to, and what don't they? That's people are getting information. I'm assuming it's leaking or something. I don't know much about the ship. All I know is the thing has an EMP and a QED, and it's insane.
That seems like a wild combo.
Yeah.
Especially in the light fighter meta, where you have, I don't know. It depends, especially what they do to distortion. Because if you have, let's say, a couple of distortion, or even just laser repeaters, because you can take down a light fighter shields pretty quick. Because when you come up against a sentinel and an arrow and it EMPs you twice, there's a pretty good chance that a lot of your components are just going to go down, or your MFDs are going to shut down, or something ridiculous. And that's cool. I kind of like that. But
it's awesome.
The Sentinel is kind of heavy. It flies like you'd expect it to fly. The Scorpius does not. The Scorpius
tell me
flies
more about
wildly.
that, because I looked at the ship with the X-wings, and then I never flew in it again because I didn't care. It's kind of spicy, right? It's fast.
It flies better than it should, and I've never flown a Hurricane, so I don't have the perspective to compare it to literally the best thing in the game.
Mm-hmm. Because the Hurricane is still better than the Scorpius, as far as from my understanding, from what I hear from people. I don't know why, though.
Right. But in atmosphere, it flies incredibly. In space, I feel like it flies just as well. It's a good ship. That's about all I have to say about it. Because you're right, it's a wait and see, like everything, huh?
Of course, sadly.
The no ship sale thing, I think, is the next thing I want to go on to, because it's just silly. It doesn't make sense. There's no reason for it.
It sucks.
It does suck.
Yeah.
Because why? Why? Like you said, the ships don't do anything special. It's not like the Vulture, where it's a new gameplay mechanic. Everybody's getting it for free in the PTU right now anyway. So I think that's about all to say, right? It's lame. No good side. The Carrick pirating thing is by far the most interesting part of this week's discussions.
Yeah, I think we could have had a podcast just on that and been fine.
Because
but there was so much other juice, I had to add it all in.
Well, yeah, of course. It was a tasty week with the meeting episode.
Yeah.
Where
Great.
My girlfriend was kind of listening in, and she, after 5 minutes, she was like, "What is this about? They're having a meeting about a meeting and filming it? I don't fucking get it."
Yep. Is it hard to explain to your girl? Like, is she like pretty well versed in Star Citizen at this point, or is it a situation where, like my situation, where my wife doesn't play games very much, and she's just like, "What the fuck is this?"
She kind of gets it. She has like a tertiary experience with gaming, where it's not like her biggest thing. She got into it when we got together a few years ago. Like, she's playing Breath of the Wild right now in the other room.
Sick. Okay. She's a gamer.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But Star Citizen, I think, is like a little out of her league as far as complexity.
You know why? It's because she actually plays good games. You're the one who plays the bad ones. You're the dummy. She's playing a really good game. You play Star Citizen.
When I have people come in and they look at those fucking keybinds, dude, and they're like, "Are there 3 layers to every key?"
Yes. I have an alt and a control for every key.
That's the fun of it, don't you know? And then they talk about the X1, and Jared like face palms when they talk about something that should have been already out by now.
Shit. Yeah, that was insane. I didn't we haven't even talked about that. The fact that this is a dumbass motorcycle ship that nobody cares about, and he was like, "Oh my god, we can't talk about it." What? That was
with the
insane.
technology that's finished. I don't understand why the hover bikes are so hard. And like everybody said, it's like one developer made the C8R, which is a great looking ship. I would say it has one of the best looking interiors of any ship in Star Citizen.
Love it. And it's really useful.
Wow. What a combo in this weird fucking tech demo that we play. But X1 just doesn't, it feels like such a slap in the face when they're like, they shouldn't know about that. People shouldn't be aware. Why not?
Why
not? And maybe it's because we react like the Antares, where we're like, this is stupid before we know anything about it.
Good point.
But
it's fucking stupid.
Yeah, of course it's stupid. That's a bad example.
We know enough about it to know that it's stupid. But yeah.
It's a bad example, but it's
but
one
of
right. Many.
But you're right. Yeah.
Just to give them, a little bit of benefit of the doubt. But okay, back to the Carrack. So isn't there a terminal on the Carrack where is it only the owner can reset the spawn of everybody in it?
I don't know. There's also the ability to if you get in the bed, they can't respawn in it. So that was an option as well that wasn't taken. So
it seems like there were a few options through, and getting in the bed is it's kind of another abuse of something that shouldn't really work that way, right?
Of course not.
But
none of this should have happened, right?
Exactly, which is why it's such a big discussion is how to prevent it from happening again, or somebody getting banned out of it is obviously obscene.
Ridiculous.
Again, if the X1 is spitting on us, they're just taking a big old dookie right on our face with this.
Yeah.
But maybe everybody, even Pirate, should be able to walk up to the terminal on the Carrack on the wall and hit reset all spawns associated with this location.
Yeah.
And the Pirates sat there, and it seems like they talked to the guy, and they were like, they gave him a chance to reset his spawn on the terminal, but they both felt like beating their heads against the wall.
Yeah.
Everybody was stubborn in the situation.
Mm-hmm.
That's
CIG
it.
too.
Yeah.
It's insane.
But CIG are also the judge, juror, and executioner when they're hearing these people in the argument, right? Mm-hmm. They're a part of it, but they're also the arbiter.
Yeah.
So it seems like they would have maybe a not unbiased view of how things work.
Yeah, I just think the issue is so far removed from the actual situation, and it's the choice that CIG made to actually moderate in that situation is insane to me.
Yeah, and choice is important in this situation. I think it's key because one person wanted to choose to not interact with the game, and they're in a Carrack, and that's a whole nother conversation. Is you want to play solo in a Carrack? What's wrong with you? But everybody plays differently.
Yep.
And the Pirates want to be pirates. That's the nature of the game. If you see a solo guy in a Carrack, that's maybe the easiest pirating target that you could ever imagine. So, maybe there should be a Tarkov style like Scav and PMC thing where, there's major reputation losses for killing people that don't want to be killed. I don't know how to implement that. That sounds insane.
Yeah.
But
I really think it comes down to you got to have safe places for players that don't want to interact with others to go. I really feel that way.
That's obviously a long-term future thing, and I think Pyro is probably going to be hopefully a breeding ground for that, where they can show us what a criminal system is like, and maybe making Stanton more high security.
Yeah,
I already think it's a little annoying how we treat Grim Hex, and what I really hope that they do is before Pyro, they lose the armistice zone on Grim Hex. We're able to take cutting bits on mining tools and break into habs, and it's just a completely lawless place to see what Pyro is going to be like because they need to test that.
Yes, but at the same time, there are in in every one of these places, especially a place like Grimhex, there still is a ruling class of person. It is the Ninetales there, and they're not going to allow complete lawlessness necessarily. Somebody is going to be like, hey, get out of my, don't break into that hab over there and kill them or whatever, right? It might be a different form of law. The thing that bothers me about Grimhex is the fact that a lawful player can just go there without any consequence. It's weird to me.
Seems like they would get shot up like the Ninetales
Exactly.
like a criminal would by her or Crusader security.
Yep. And that's like a long-term persistence thing that I talked about earlier in the show that really could help in a lot of these situations as well.
Which is what everything is based on, right?
Yeah.
Intel persistence and server meshing are in those two super annoying phrases.
Yep.
That's what all the game seems to be centered around. It's what all the game loops seem to be planned to be working through.
Mm-hmm.
So, gameplay, huh?
Love it.
When?
It'll happen when? Yeah, it's at some point. Somebody. That's why I can't wait for next week's ISC.
I was reading on Spectrum. It's like 2 years. 2 years out.
Usually 2 years out. Yeah, that's what they say. Until you hit those 2 years, and then it's 2 more. But I think we're getting off the rails here a little bit. So
yeah. Sorry. Let's.
You're good. Is there anything else you want to touch on before we go to anyone else, or?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I've taken up enough time, probably.
Yeah, it's fine, and it was good. It just comes down to how we feel about all these subjects, and I want you guys to be able to put your thoughts out there. So it's not about taking up too much time or anything like that. Just it's about getting your thoughts out. When you're done, you're done, and when you're not, you're not. Sometimes I might have to cut you off, though.
Well, thanks for giving us plebes a platform.
Of course, no problem, plebe. I'll see you later.
See you later, man. Have a good
Bye
one.
now. Have a good one. Thanks for coming on, Drake. Bye. All right. So our next one is Slothinator. Slothinator, can you hear me?
I can. Wait, I'm going to turn the camera on. Is that all right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Can you see me?
I can. It is nice to put a face to the name because I've seen you in chat for a long time. How's it going?
I've been good. How you going?
Good. Is that a guitar under your bed?
A guitar? Wait, where? Oh, no, it's my dog, I think you're talking about.
Oh.
Yeah.
What's your dog's name?
Her name is Suki, like from Avatar, the last Avatar.
Nice. So what do you want to touch on today?
Oh, man, I've got 2 things I want to touch on. One of them, I agree with you on pretty much everything except for maybe one of these things. But
okay,
one of them I've been mad about for a little while now, and the other one I think you would disagree with.
Okay.
I'll start with the Antares though. I don't think it's that big of an issue. I don't think it's overpowered at all. In fact, I would go as far as to say it's going to be bad.
I think it might be bad too.
Who is it for?
Nobody.
It's not for anybody. A pirate's not going to use it. Doesn't have any cargo. It's probably going to require at least 2 people to operate it. And at that point, why not just take the Mantis? It's going to be.
I think people are going to get duped. I think people are going to get duped into buying it.
Yeah, exactly.
But they're stupid, and they whatever. Yeah, maybe they should get fucked anyway for being stupid. But yeah, it can go either. Like I think the last caller said it. It could either be really good or it could be really bad, and we're going to have to see. So it has the possibility of being both. That's why I'm like agreeing with 2 different points of view, even though I'm not like really in the middle. I think it's a bad idea to put the ship out. But yeah.
Look, yeah, I think it's a bad ship by design. Like you said, in either way that it does go. But I'm pretty confident that if it is going to be the case where the second seat has to operate both the devices, it's just going to be bad. I don't see any way it's going to be good.
It's even worse than sitting in a turret.
It's worse than sitting in a turret, but it's not even that. Even if it's boring for the person in the back, a bounty hunter is not going to be using it for when, I guess, Bounty Hunting V2 comes in, because there's no interior. If you want an EMP, why not use the Vanguard? Only one person. If you want to do piracy, why not use the Cutlass? It's got cargo space. Why not? It just feels like any role it could be used in is just not going to be as good.
Yeah,
So,
that's fair.
I don't know. I know everyone is saying it's overloaded, overpowered. I just think it's
for me. It's maybe not overloaded or overpowered. It's just them putting that combination together. You know what they're thinking. You know what they're doing there.
yeah. They're trying.
You know?
Yeah, they're trying to sell, of course.
Yeah.
They're trying to sell.
It's just a
But
ship for sale. It is not a ship for the game. That was like my initial feelings about it. Is like this ship was put together to be a sale, and it wasn't put together to fill a need in the game.
definitely, I agree, 100% on
Yeah,
that.
and that's.
I
What
thought you
bothers
were
me
going to
about
be.
it.
I thought you were going to be like, no, it's going to be overloaded, overpowered. I thought
I
that
don't
was what
know.
I was coming into.
I don't know. You know, like how can so many people just like try to claim things they don't know, and I try to not do that if possible. And
Yeah,
it's
but it's
hard
fun, too.
sometimes. It is fun. It is fun, but it's hard. But I do worry when you put that combination together. It's the combination that makes the most sense. That people are going to look at their Mantis, they're going to look at their Warlock, they're going to look at their other ships that they've purchased and go, damn, you know?
Yeah.
But maybe they
And,
won't because
I
it makes more sense to use two ships than one. That's where I think it'll be. Is you always have to make a multi-crew ship more worth using. We're going through that with the Mole right now. I've argued the Mole is a piece of shit forever, and CIG is finally doing something about it, and we're going to hear what they have to say this coming week, you know? And this is a very similar situation that could fall into that same black hole that the Mole did, where it was a solo ship that had more cargo, essentially, for the last 3 years or however long it's been out.
I was expecting the Reclaimer to be sort of similar to the Mole, but it came out better than I thought now that Salvage is in. It does seem actually effective to be multi-crewed and all that kind of stuff.
Sure,
Which is
I mean,
good.
did you see the process they had to go through in the PTU where it wasn't that effective, and then they were like, okay, we'll just have it make more stuff faster. So like,
What happened?
so the Reclaimer and the Vulture were like at somewhat similar speeds in which they made the 1 SCU boxes, and then they went, okay, the Reclaimer lasers are just going to take in more material. So it's just going to happen faster, and that gives the player in the back more to do. The Reclaimer makes more money, bigger ship. You're spreading them like absolute like Band-Aid feeling, but nobody feels that it just makes sense. Bigger ship, more you get more. You're spreading the money out between the players that are working with you. It just makes sense, and nobody really complained about it because it just works.
Yeah, like who cares about like even if people want to argue the whole realism aspect, who cares? Like
Gives
it's
a
a game.
shit.
You want the numbers to
Yeah.
be better. I always complain about my night vision to my friend
Yeah.
all the time. I can't stop thinking about it because it's such a core sort of idea. I think for CIG, where right now the game you can't see anything when it's dark.
Just cheat.
It's impossible. You need to spam, hit the pink button or cheat. Yeah,
Yeah,
or
just
use
be
one
a
of those.
huge cheater like Red Lear.
But when CIG addressed it, they were saying that they wanted to what was the term? They wanted to wait until it was in a perfect sort of state because they had all these ideas with like material and reflection and blah blah blah. I don't know how it works, but the idea is why that annoyed me so much was it was like, why not just in the meantime include a Band-Aid like filter solution? It's not that hard. They just don't want to do these little things which could make the game so much better, even though it's not realistic. Like I don't know.
The thing,
It's
the
too much.
weird thing is like you got to look at it this way, and I have the same perspective as you on nearly everything. In my little niche that I'm playing right now, oh my god, this one little fix would be so easy. Like we could sure talk about that with the medbed, right? Is how many of those situations are in the game? 1,000. So which one do they do? They make a racetrack out of it. That's what they do. Come on, we know what's right. Make a racetrack.
The buggy course. Yeah.
Make a buggy course.
I like the buggy course, to be honest. I thought that was
cool.
alright.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. But in the end, there's so many of those. So which one do they prioritize? I think in a major problematic situation that just came up that they're considering banning somebody in, yeah, fix that one. Right? That's just how I look at it.
With something like that, it didn't really come up. Look, of course, I agree with you. It's stupid for anyone to be in trouble in that kind of situation.
Yeah.
But of course, they should look for a solution in that case. But the reason why I'm not really advocating for something like that as much as night vision is because night vision is something that the community has been nonstop being annoying about for ages, and I understand. I get it. I'm annoying about it too. Exactly. It's just. And then you try to use the headlights in the ship. It's not even anyway. That's a
whole nother thing.
irrelevant.
Yeah. When we inevitably have, oh wait, we did have the lighting team on SCL, but we weren't allowed to ask them any questions other than how they got into game dev.
Oh man, this is the next thing I've got to complain about. Right, this was the communication. I've come on ATC once before.
Mhm.
It was when you were talking about communication, how CIG is like sort of being trash with it.
Yeah.
At the time, I was like, yeah, like I agree to some extent, and it's mainly to do with Squadron 42. But I threw up a bit of a fit on it on Reddit like 2 months ago. I know it was a bad idea because I kind of got blown up, and
Of
everyone
course.
thought I was making a personal attack at Jared. But my hot take is that for the past few months, and I don't even think it's that hot in this community. The past few months, IC has just been garbage. It's been just really bad, and I don't know if that's Jared's fault in particular. I'm not trying to target Jared. It's just I don't know if it's. I say it might not be his fault is because most of the what's the term? Most of the Star Citizen development has gone towards Squadron 42, and obviously Squadron 42 is behind closed doors because of spoilers. So whoever is behind the planning and everything of IC, they have a lot less to work with probably, right? But
Yep.
I think it does go a little bit further than that. Like we're not even seeing sprint reports anymore. Those are my favorite parts of the IC. Like they're just gone completely. We're seeing this more, as you always talk about, you hate the whole development sort of view on it rather than the gameplay view on it.
I don't hate it, but I hate it when it's been like 6 weeks in a row and it's every week. It's just like, it's become such a major focus of it that it's like, bro, like, I don't care. What the fuck?
And it's just not good. And like, and then there was the whole, they're going to start doing the road to 4.0.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was watching your reaction, and you were like, "Oh, fuck off!" Just immediately you said, "Oh, fuck off."
Yeah.
Exact same reaction from me. It is. I thought that was just like bad. That was insulting. That was just too much.
We've been on the road to 4.0 since like
2018. I swear.
Yeah.
And they had the what was it called? This was around the time that they did the audio concepts. It was a concept for audio for Pyro. This was around 2 months ago, and I said at the time, look, maybe it's going to get better from here. It isn't. It has not. It has not.
It started with that one. It all started with that one. That was the first road to 4.0. Just think about that.
And I was like on Twitter, and like I follow Jared, and again, it's not anything at all directed to Jared, but he was saying he was very happy with the way ISC's been turning out lately, and I just thought it's over now. Like we're not getting good. Well, not good ICs. I know people enjoy different ICs.
It's what he wants to do.
Yeah, exactly.
It is what it feels like. And I don't know how much control he has. He definitely has a boss. He mentions them all the time, but it's what he's proud of. And okay, good for you. And a lot of people care about that stuff. A lot of people were interested in that stuff. But I remember when they talked about the content that they were going to make, some of that stuff was going to be for those people. And I was hoping more stuff was going to be about the video game, and it just isn't.
It isn't, and
it's about the people making it, and that's cool. Good for them. But I'm not interested in making them rock stars. I'm interested in the game being a rock star.
Exactly right.
Those guys can become rock stars after they ship something.
And I definitely think this could be like something that is still looked into. But the reason why I'm always mad about it with ISC is because ISC is like pretty much the only sort of visual medium of anything we get about Star Citizen.
Yeah.
Right? For development-wise, right? And then when we do actually get something based on any gameplay, it is updates about ships that would have been in PTU for like 2 months at that point that everyone knows everything about.
Yeah.
They're talking about it, displaying it. Or they're talking about, I don't know, just, the galaxy. That was horrible. It's just, I don't know, it feels like it's turned less about the development of the game and more into just advertisement, which has been a pretty common thing for a lot of CIG communication, I feel, lately.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we're getting off the rails a little bit now because it is a thing about like, we had an ISC about a meeting and things like that. But I don't know. Do you want to touch on some of the other stuff? I think we hit most of it. Is there anything else?
No, I mean, with the other things, I pretty much agree with you. Like, what were the hot points? I can't remember, but it was.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm with you though. You and I are on the same wavelengths, bro. It's just, what can we do? We just gotta.
This is why you're my go-to streamer.
There you go.
I don't watch any other. Yeah.
I mean,
but it's good though, because Morphologist and a few of the other like guys who are more like open
let's
to the game,
talk
they're
shit
becoming
about
a little
those
bit more
guys.
critical.
Let's
No,
talk
they're
shit
becoming
about
more
them.
critical.
Come on. Fuck those guys. Listen,
they're cool. They're cool.
Space Tomato's wife thinks Pepsi is better than Coke. Okay?
No, but she's
We
right.
need
She's
to
right.
All right, we gotta go. I'll see you later, Sloth. All right, next caller.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for calling, though, Sloth. I really appreciate it. All right, but you're
Thanks
going to
for
have to
having me
leave. And mods, Sloth can't come on the podcast anymore. All right? All right, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you, Sloth. I cut you off for content, not because I actually wanted to. You're a great guy, and I appreciate everything. J2 Smiling Viking, can you hear me, Mr. Smiling Viking?
Mr. SaltEMike, I can. Can you hear
Awesome.
me?
I hear you well. How's it going?
It's going okay, though. I'm thinking that you might not want to hear from me since I am a diehard Pepsi fan.
Disgusting. How are there this many Pepsi fans out there? Now, I am a
Because
Dr.
Pepsi
Pepper
is
fan.
so much better.
I am a Dr.
It's
Pepper fan.
not even funny.
How? It's got bigger bubbles. It's not as sweet. Like,
Coke's got a weird aftertaste that I just cannot abide.
dude, I
Like
don't get
cloves
this.
or something in my throat. I can't stand it.
I love it. I love
Nope,
it. I'm
no
addicted.
good.
And Coke in a
Yep.
can, far superior to Coke in a bottle, which is
I
far
will say the same
superior
thing about.
to Coke in a fountain.
I will say the same thing. Pepsi is also best from a can.
Yeah, everything's best from a can. 100%.
Don't understand it myself, but yeah, absolutely.
Aluminum tastes
100%.
good, apparently. I don't know.
It does. I used to suck on aluminum fairly regularly.
How many ships do you
No.
have? That's probably
way too many. Way too many, man.
It's all making sense now. So what do you want to touch on today?
Where do we freaking start, dude?
I don't know.
Where do we start? You know, one of the things that sucks coming in at the end of the queue like this is that I feel like everybody sort of touched on the points that I already wanted to make. But I guess to, just sort of blow through everything quickly. Number one, the Scorpius, just a dumb ship. I mean, I guess there's still a lot of unanswered questions, but again, like you said, it's we got to wait and see how it all works out. But it just doesn't seem like a good combination type thing to me. Like you hit the nail on the head when you said, it's a ship for sales. It's not a ship for the game.
Yeah.
What else was there? Oh, the taking the ships away, not releasing them or whatever. If they hadn't, I just always sort of assumed that it comes with the next patch. If they had never said anything, I probably would have never even thought about it. I just would have, accepted that they'd be out in the next patch. So, they screwed themselves when they said, yeah, we're releasing them, but then no, we're not. That's just dumb.
Sort of,
and
but I think that there does need to be like a system in place that starts to be like, hey guys, let us gain support off of this, but then we'll also support you. So I'm glad they said something, but they did bite themselves in the foot a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, ultimately, you're right. There should be, the time limit. We should sort of stick to that. It was just one of those things that I hadn't really thought about. It wasn't an issue for me. Most of my fleet's way too big. I buy my ships. Most of them I have before
It's
they're
the
launched.
aluminum.
So
It's the
exactly,
aluminum.
it's the aluminum.
Yeah.
Okay. So the griefing situation. This is probably the biggest one.
Mhm.
Which is just you can't do that. I mean, you've got counteracting mechanics. They've advertised 3.18 as the piracy patch. They're telling us to get out there and pirate, and then penalizing us for doing it when they don't give us the mechanics to do it properly. It's not right. They're lacking consistency in their communication, and that's a big issue.
Yeah.
And that's an issue that doesn't just go to this one thing. CIG's communication across the board, I feel, is lacking. I mean, there's no question that they're transparent to a degree. I mean, they're prolific.
Somebody just said you have Pepsi brain. Then they're disagreeing with you because you have Pepsi brain. I don't normally like comment on chat during the podcast, but I can't fucking help it. What does that even mean? Okay,
I don't know, but
ahead.
I do drink a lot of Pepsi. So
all right, yeah.
It's definitely a thing that could be going on.
Oh, sorry for derailing you there. I
No
apologize.
worries, man.
I couldn't help it.
No worries. Where was I?
I have Red Bull brain. That's my problem.
Oh, I used to. I had to quit the Red Bull. It was killing me.
Yeah, it's going to. I'm done. That's it. But yeah, so we're talking about. I think we're still talking about the medbed and that situation.
Oh yeah, they haven't given the game isn't there to support these things, and when the issues come up, their responses are all over the spectrum. You know, just depending on who is responding, and it seems like there's a lack of communication at CIG when one person's telling us one thing and then someone says, oh no, that's wrong, we got to go back and correct that now, because they hadn't communicated properly in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not limited to their PvP. Oh, that's the point that I was getting to, is that it's not limited to any one thing. It's across the board when it comes
100%.
to CIG and their communication. There's no question that they are probably the most transparent developer I've ever seen. I've never seen any other developer give away this information. I mean, they're positively, just look at their YouTube channel. They're prolific in what they put out.
Sure.
It's just the wrong kind of stuff. As far as when you take, for example, this most recent ISC, I don't mind that type of content. I can enjoy that type of content, but not when there's I would have enjoyed that kind of content a couple of years ago when we had 5 shows a week, and there was stuff to watch.
I think I would have enjoyed that content if it wasn't the third or fourth look in the last 14 days of like behind the scenes on the very heavily on the development side. I think you can dive deep into development occasionally and have it be like this extra thing that's going on, and like, hey guys, we are being open, we're sharing more with you, and look at this, we brought you in on a fucking meeting. That's actually, I'm not escaping from the fact that that's kind of cool, and you have these developers that are really excited about the work that they're putting hard work into, sharing their thoughts and where they're at with them in the moment. It's got to be a cool feeling for everybody. It just, for me, it was like, man, all we talked about is the game's development for the last month. Can we talk about the game at some point? When are we going to dive into just focusing on the game and how we're going to interact with it and more just design stuff? And that's why I'm so excited for next week. It's like, finally, a piece of content that I'm excited about, and whether I like the choices that they make doesn't matter. It's a good content choice for me.
Yeah, I was excited about this week's until I actually saw what it was. They said, oh, server meshing. We're going to be talking about server meshing. I'm thinking, oh, great. This is going to be an episode chock full of information about what's coming up and the steps they're taking to get us there. And it was not that.
Yeah,
it was not that at all.
Did you see Jared's apology on Star Citizen Live?
I don't think so.
Okay, so this is something that I thought was really powerful. I've never really seen them do this before. Not Jared in particular. I think he's, when he makes a mistake, he apologizes for it. But this in particular was really, I think, strong and powerful. He was like, listen, we did this whole thing, and I apologize for the editing, because how it comes off as if this was the first meeting for them to get in and do all the work. And they've been doing the work. This is just them coming together and reorganizing. And they communicated that a little bit in the video, but it didn't really come off as the main thing that was happening, So yeah, it wasn't a negative, it wasn't a video that should have given a negative reaction, but it wasn't edited well. And on top of that, it's the 5th game dev thing in the last little while. So it's frustrating.
Exactly. And at this point, I've been around a long time. I think a lot of us have been around here a long time. At this stage in development and at this stage in what we've all gone through, the information that they're giving us, I don't think is the information that it's not the information that reassures me anyway. No. The information that I don't need to know what they're doing next week or the week after. I need to know that 5 years down the road or whatever, how long it's going to be when the game is actually going to be released, it's going to at least somewhat resemble the thing that I was originally pitched. You know, they keep saying, oh, well, this is the game that we're building, but it's in development. So stuff's going to change along the way. When they don't tell me something about a game system or a mechanic for years, you know, down the road, I start to wonder, well, do they still have the same plan they did 6 years ago? Because that's one of the things that got me interested in the game to begin with. So if they're not planning to do that anymore, do I really still want to be here?
Yeah.
You know, those are the questions that I have, and those are the questions that don't get answered.
It's true. And yeah, it's not fun, man. It's not fun to be a part of this process at times, but it's
no, you know, it is somewhat.
Go ahead.
I made a joke recently that Star Citizen wasn't a video game; it's a lifestyle choice. And for me, like, I haven't even logged in weeks, man. But I'll still come here to the podcast and I'll still talk about it and I'll still be involved with the community and things like that, because it's, you know, it is more than just a game. It's a community, it's development, it's the people that I've met, it's the experiences that I've had. It's a whole package, you know. So walking, you know, aside from the ridiculous monetary investment that I've made into it, you know, there's an emotional investment too. There's content. I don't want to walk away, but I get worried, you know, even this stuff, just stuff that came out recently, about the UI, you know, it seems to me like they're developing Squadron 42 for consoles. And that worries me, you know. Are they going to, I don't like the term dumb down, but, you know, are they going to just conflate the game into what I expect a console experience to be, or are they going to try to expand a console into a bigger experience, or are they just not even really doing that? It just seems that way.
My expectations for the gameplay of Squadron 42 is very low. I mean, Chris Roberts games is the gameplay was kind of like, let me get through this to get to the next cutscene and tell me the story, you know? That's how I played it. So I don't know.
Yeah, but, you know, at this point, that is kind of what I expect, but that's not what we were pitched. You know, we were pitched a pretty one-to-one sort of experience. You know, honestly, in the beginning, my understanding of Squadron 42 was that it wasn't really a separate game. It was more like an extended tutorial that eventually led you into the verse. That was my understanding of it way, way back, you know, when the game was originally pitched. You know, that has long since changed. And, you know, I just wonder what else has.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
You know, so, yeah, there's my 2 cents, dude.
All right. Well, I guess we'll let you go then, Viking, but I do appreciate it and enjoy drinking Pepsi.
You suck down that Coke, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
I will. All right, brother. We'll see you soon. Bye now.
Later.
Oh, just as I was going to bring him in, he popped out. So I guess Letty's not going to make it into today's podcast. Let me see if he's trying to get things in, and we might end it here. I don't know. Guess who tried to turn on their cam? Yep. So if we could unlock the green room again, or you can head down to the comms. It's in VoIP in Discord. I know there's a lot of channels in this Discord, so you can find anything to pop into, and I'll pull you back down. There you go. Here, try to put on your cam again.
Hello.
Hey. And oh no. I'm messing up your name. All right, his cam is on, so we're good there. I'm fixing your name because I put a bunch of V's in it as I was trying to move it around.
That's all right. That's all right, mate.
So
You're not the first person to get my name wrong.
True. I think I got it right. Agents. Okay, good. It's right. Now you got me concerned that I had it wrong. I did a reaction to your video, and I don't necessarily fall in line with your views 100%. So obviously this is an opportunity for you to respond to that, but talk about any other topics that we talked about more recently as well. So feel free.
Well, yeah, let's end on the Carrick thing, because there's a few other takes that I know a lot of people want, kind of want to hear about.
Okay.
Especially, the new Scorpius variant.
Sure.
A lot of people want to know about that, and
from a pirate's perspective, what do you think?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of poor timing on CIG's part, because EMP is just trash in 318.
Yeah.
Like, it would have been a great ship in 316, in the sense that, the EMP was, or distortion mechanics in 316, I think were, like, in my opinion, were probably in the best place that they could be, that encouraged gameplay amongst, pirates, and required coordination and skill to use in coordination with each other. And then we got 317, and then it was just everybody fire EMPs at the same time, and we'll just, burst it down. And now going into 318, it's like, try and build up as much distortion damage on the, power plant as possible until it shuts down, then it's off for 5 minutes. And the problem is that EMP is the worst, piece of kit to use for that now.
Yeah.
You use direct distortion damage for it.
Mm-hmm.
But with regards to, like, the concept behind what's going on with this, Antares, I prefer to wait normally to, get the ship and, start passing judgment once I've flown it around, put it through some simulations and done some hits with it. But from, experience, being able to have a ship there that is capable of doing both jobs helps us out in terms of reducing assets required, except one of the people, the ship requires 2 people to operate. Yeah, that's right. But here's the thing about this that a lot of people don't really consider when it comes to piracy, is that once your ship, like, once you've disabled the target, you don't need QED, especially with soft death now. Like that, you take a Mantis, you don't need it anymore. Like, the QED for it, the snare, if you snared the target, you pulled them out of quantum travel, you don't need it anymore. Like, that Mantis literally just becomes another scout. So, having the Antares there gives you that flexibility that, like, okay, we've just gone from, using it as an interdictor to now it's a, a heavy fighter that can at least, somewhat hold its own against other ships, and, using coordination, because a Mantis is fragile as fuck. Blow an engine off and it just starts spinning around. So being able to, have a ship there that has, a bit more multiple purpose behind it helps out a lot. And, another issue that we encountered with EMPs, especially in 317, was EMP generators just getting accidentally shut down when they're being fired next to each other too closely. And then you lose an EMP, and, like, you got 3 warlocks there, you're down to 2, you can't disable the ship anymore. And you're looking at it like, all right, well, I guess we just got to destroy it. So, if you've got a bunch of Antares there, you can have a couple that are dedicated to EMP, you can have a couple that are dedicated to, QED, or, have one designated as a backup QED in case, for whatever reason, your other one gets destroyed. What that other guy is supposed to do in the second seat, who knows? Space Cutler posted a bloody meme on Twitter of, the co-pilot having, the buttons, the
which
EMP
do I
or
press?
the bloody... Yeah, which do I press? Exactly. And it's like, all right, well, maybe that's the requirement for it, but the benefit of having that second guy there is that they can manage that if that's how CIG, goes. But once, you've disabled the ship and it's stationary, the co-pilot can get out and go participate in the boarding action while the pilot stays in the ship and starts patrolling around for any, counter escort showing up. So there's some level of, like, additional points that are brought into, with using the Antares for piracy hits here that I don't think a lot of people are, taking into account, because a lot of the perspective of how ships are used is from a solo perspective. Most people aren't thinking about utilizing these ships in, teams, whereas this is how we use ships. Like, every ship has a job. We don't take anything there that's not necessary, because we don't have, we can't fill a, server full of, 20 people to go and do piracy ops on a single server because we're reducing the potential targets that we've got.
Yep.
So we try and run as lean as possible. So the Antares kind of gives us, like, it has the potential to be a good piracy ship if EMP was actually good. From a bounty hunting perspective, like, this is the other side that I don't think a lot of people have been considering with bounty hunting, is that CIG may try and push you in the direction of doing it in a team, where it's like, you got a couple of Antares, you got like the Cutlass Blue there, you may have a Mantis there, who knows? Like, you bring a small crew with you because you may be taking down more than one person at once. Your job may be to go take down a pirate gang.
Yep.
And you're not going to show up in a Cutlass Blue, while you're wearing a bucket with a T-visor on your head chanting, "This is the way," thinking that you're going to take on, potentially 20 pirates at once.
Yeah.
So, considering team gameplay, this is where I think the Antares strength really is. But until we get it in game, like, it's hard to pass judgment on it.
Yeah, I agree. I have such a hard time from like just the ship sale perspective of not just looking at it and going, I know what you're doing here, fuckers, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you want to get into
100%.
the juice now?
Let's do it.
Did you watch
Karen.
Did you watch my reaction to it?
I did. Yeah.
What do you feel about? Because I immediately am like, Karen, bad look. You wanna be heard. You got to hear the other side too.
So part of the reason why I used Karen was that I didn't actually want to name and shame the player.
Fair enough.
I don't think Carrick owner had the sort of impact of what, describing the nature of this player. So, I picture Karen's as, persistent and annoying. And that's what this, defender was essentially being. They were just being persistent and annoying.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, you're defending your ship. Fair play. Like, more power to you. I admire their tenacity that they stuck around as long as they did. Most people will just take the loss and piss off.
Yeah.
But if I was also handling that hit, from Captain Dirty's perspective, I would have just soft deathed the ship sooner. And I'd be like, you know what? The salvage isn't really worth that much. Let's just, soft death the ship, take what we can, and move on, because there's probably a bigger and better target somewhere else.
Sure.
But the Karen thing was, like, one of those the naming of it was just, how do I describe this player so that people actually remember who I'm talking about?
Gotcha.
And then, like,
it's
kind
stuck.
of leads into another point.
It's stuck, and it's people thought it was funny. I didn't, but we all remember it, so it worked. It was effective.
Yeah, and this is where, like, it was part of a strategy to get people to remember, like, this particular scenario.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is, and this is, I ended up making a video today, pretty much addressing the point that I think nearly everybody missed.
Okay.
Like, some people who reacted in the comments of the videos kind of picked up on it, but a lot of people have missed this. And this is, the point is that somebody weaponized customer service against another player.
Yes.
And that is a huge issue. Like that Carrick medbed, there's fucking a million, solutions to that. Like, everybody's sitting there looking at that and going, oh yeah, if we fix this particular issue, that's it, that's done. Like, we won't have to deal with that problem ever again.
Yeah.
No, that just solves one cause of a bigger issue where somebody weaponized customer service against Captain Dirty to get him a warning. And, CIG's investigation process, we don't know.
It was like, look at Reddit. Look
what? At a screenshot.
Yeah. Like, not even the video, probably just the screenshot.
Yeah. And it's an issue. It's a serious issue here, because CIG will need to come up with a systemic way of being able to deal with this, these types of claims later in the future as Star Citizen is developed further. And the problem is that what we've, observed is that CIG's just, half-assed this, and they've literally gone, yeah, that looks like excessive griefing. And then gone, all right, Captain Dirty, you stop doing that, mate. All right. And he's, for starters, going, stop doing what? Stop doing what? And it's like, oh, are you talking about the medbed thing? And they're like, yeah, stop doing it, and we're not talking about it anymore. And it's like, I'd be livid. I'd be like, man, what the fuck? I'd be opening up another ticket. I'd be like, hey, there's this video here of this entire thing that you guys should probably look at before giving me a warning. And that's why I ended up making that Spectrum post. Because it's like, I didn't check the rules, so I probably didn't know that, talking about customer service interactions
which is
was forbidden.
Yeah, and it's insane because you can't, like, I that is my big thing with them is they are really doing some weird shit now with this stuff. Is like, you realize, like, if you send in a ticket and say, hey, I have an issue with the way the Spectrum is being moderated, the Spectrum moderators are the ones who respond and go, I have no problem. There's no problem with the way we moderate. It's like, what the fuck? Like, we take your feedback. My dick, you take our feedback on this kind of stuff. The way that, how do they not look at Spectrum and go, this whole thing's a dumpster fire? And a big part of it is because of stuff like this, and it's, I don't know. It drives me nuts. And this, like, you obviously hit the point. I think, I don't know if it was in the video or not, but I was like losing my mind going, you should be happy that people are playing this garbage game now. And, and you're literally telling someone they can't because your game's garbage. It's insane to me.
It's one of those situations where it's like, this entire scenario, like, could have been avoided if customer service had done a little bit more investigation. But
do you see it as a blessing?
That,
I think this is a blessing.
Because now, like, buddy, picking it up, putting it in front of the community, and then, getting you guys, like, you guys essentially grabbing this and going, yeah, this is bullshit. Like, customer service handled the way that this was handled
by, like, nearly everybody. Like, the thread had tons of upvotes. Your video was popular. Like, mine is fairly popular on my reaction to your video. Like, people care about this, and it's going to bring this to the surface. Like, something has to happen, and I imagine it will because of it.
Something needs to happen. Like, this has to be brought up internally with CIG. They're a $500 million company now. Like, I'm glad, that they've been able to get to this point, but there's a level of professionalism now that between, CIG and the customers that needs to be demonstrated now. And, like, cold corporate, bloody, shut your mouth if we don't like what you're talking about is not the way to go. Right? Like, there's people in the community who disagree with the way that the entire interaction went. Some people feel like, bloody CIG was justified in, slapping a griefing warning on Captain Dirty. Others don't. The problem is that CIG has said in the plethora of shows that they've got that they want to encourage PvP, that they want to encourage piracy encounters, and that's what we've got right here. It's a piracy encounter, and what we had was, like, an immovable force coming up against a bloody unstoppable object, and they pretty much just butted heads, and it was just a power of wills. And at what point, like, does either party walk away? One party could, the other party might not. Like, the Carrick owner not taking the loss. As I said before, I admire that tenacity right there. I probably would try and do the same thing.
Yeah.
However, like, punishing the, pirates for essentially, trying to protect their prize as, like, it sounds ridiculous because we're all law-abiding citizens in real life, but in the game, you're trying to protect your prize. You just got this asset, and the person, even though it belongs to them, is trying to take it back. But they're trying to take the thing that you're trying to extract value from away from you. From a pirate's perspective, this is no different to a miner defending a mining claim.
Yeah.
From somebody else showing up. Now, like, people sitting there going, oh, the pirate should just walk away. And it's like, because it's a PTU environment or because the game's still in development. And it's like, piracy is part of the, testing. Like, piracy is gameplay.
Yeah,
the interactions that are happening need to be tested.
It's uncovering like, hey, this feature is, it's okay to have tier 0 features. Sometimes the features are 2 tier 0. Like, selling right now, 2 tier 0. Our backpack not having a move all button, that was 2 tier 0. They addressed it. we've found another issue now, and we are bringing it to the surface, and that's really it when it comes to the gameplay side of things. The moderation side of things that we just touched on, major problem, right? Major problem. This needs to be addressed
that's huge.
1,000%. There needs to be a statement from Xylo or whomever leads these people, because that is a fucking joke what happened. But from the in-game perspective, all we're doing is bringing a problem that should be prioritized at this point with a clear and easy Band-Aid fix that many people have brought up. There's all sorts of different ways to do it. Their choice what they want to do. Just do it. You know? And I look at it, blessing, curse. But it could be a blessing on both sides if CIG handles this correctly from a PR perspective and moderation perspective in the future.
Well, there's also like the internal, potential internal issues that are going on here as well, like customer service and, developers not talking. Because it could be a company policy that, like if you see a lot of dead bodies or, in a screenshot, then you need to, like slap that person with a warning.
Yeah.
Like this is a list of criteria that just got fulfilled. Whereas the developers going, yeah, man, just stack all the bodies. It's fine. This is the way that the game's supposed to be played. If that person's making a decision to keep coming back, that's fine.
I mean, would you agree spawn camping is griefing in other games? It's just that there's, like, I think spawn camping is griefing. And I don't throw the word griefer around like we have in this community. I think spawn camping is griefing. It is preventing other players from playing the game the way that they would want to, right? But all those games have mechanics that are very clear that, like, you kill the bedroll, right? So they can't respawn. We don't have that. So how can it be griefing in this game when the simple systems aren't there?
My thought on you, like, pretty much what you're talking about there is, like, spawn camping is only griefing if that's the only option that they have.
Exactly.
Like, if that's it. And even then, like, you're still, walking a very fine line there, because as far as I'm concerned, like, players still have agency in how they're, like, how they can operate.
Mhm.
Like, if the pirate's communicating with you and they're saying, hey, pay me X amount of credits, or else, like, buddy, I'm just going to keep you here until you decide to log out. It's a shitty thing to do. I've done it to players before.
Of course.
And they've decided to leave. And, some have decided to pay, and, they paid. Some have also decided to, like, unset their med bed and, just fast travel back to their last, point of, what's it called? Point of,
spawn, whatever,
home port or spawn or whatever, yeah. Like, there's some player agency there that is involved, but it was like, if it was that situation where it's like you're locked in that med bed until you're able to get out, and Captain Dirty's just popping them in the head over and over again, then I'd be like, yeah, dude, that's a bit excessive. But he, he went above and beyond what I would have done. I would have been like, dude, I'm over this guy getting out of the bed. Just, somebody just keep capping him in the head, or, somebody just lay down and, for the next 10 minutes. And it's a shitty thing to do. I don't like, having to sit there and go, look, we're going to have to use a workaround to, essentially do something that CIG should have put in the game, where we can just, like, turn the med bed off.
Yep.
Like, put a button and turn the fucking thing off. It's that simple.
Soft death turns
like,
it off or
soft
no?
death the ship.
Yeah, it does, right?
Soft
So
death
you're
will
just
turn off the med bed. Yeah.
You're forced
Soft
to soft death
turns
now.
it off. Yeah, or, like, you can lay in the bed. However, we have experienced times, I know a lot of people sit there and go, oh, it's reliable, and they've done it once. There's been times where we've tried doing that, and the person just respawns straight out of the body, and it looked like, an alien coming out of their chest.
Oh, okay.
It's one of those situations where it's like, it's an option, but it may not work. So be prepared to go down a different route. But, this is one of those scenarios where it's like, this particular, in-game issue is has caused a player to weaponize customer service against somebody else. And we may fix that medbed thing. CIG addresses that. But then what's the next thing that gets used to weaponize customer service against players? And this can be done in any sort of format. Like, people are like,
I mean, it was used for stream sniping.
Concerned. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, the pirates are concerned about, like, them getting banned from the game. It's like, no, this issue can affect everyone. Like, you do not understand. Like, if customer service reacted to a screenshot and they just got a name and that was it, then guess what? Like, I don't like you, Mike, well, I'm going to make up this story where, like you just spawn camped me in a carrack and I'm going to send, CIG the screenshot. I'll just make sure that the armor matches, from one of your gameplay sessions and then not give him a date, wait a week or so. And then I encountered this guy here and he, spawn camped me in the bed and his name was SaltEMike. And next minute, fucking CIG customer services got hold of you, mate. And buddy, you're getting a warning for excessive griefing. And then, like, that's just the warning side of things, though. But where does the line get drawn? Like how many warnings do you get before you get banned? What constitutes as a ban from the get-go? You may end up in a position where it's like there may be a way to get somebody banned on a single customer service report that we don't know about. It's really just somebody being an Irish mine detector putting their foot out there until they hit something that goes bang.
It's
Like,
ridiculous.
it needs to be called out. It needs to be called out. It needs to be put in front of the community. That's why, like today, I watched a whole bunch of reaction videos, and I saw the polls. Captain Burke's made a poll on Twitter. Space Cutler and Moist Noodle reacted to the the post that I had made before it got taken down. It got taken down before they got to react to it when I was like sending them screenshots and stuff like that. The thing about this though is like it needed to get put out in front of the community, and CIG is, they're following their rules. Like I have to give them the benefit of the doubt in the sense that they're following their corporate rules and they're just doing their job. Well, this particular issue highlights something that the community needs to be aware of and react to.
Yep.
Because we don't know how many other people have experienced this yet.
Yeah,
So
that
it's
just
like-
didn't have their Reddit post that high enough up or didn't know you to where like just
Yeah.
we happen to have a little bit of reach and that goes somewhere, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing is like I just happen to know, like that there's certain content creators within the community who have larger followers than I do that are, will pick this up and they'll be like, wait a second, yeah, I agree with Letty. This is bullshit. I wouldn't have known about this if Dirty hadn't made his video. He didn't even contact me directly. He made the video and I watched it and I went, this is bullshit. And that's when I started banging away at my keyboard on Spectrum.
And if you
And that's
didn't,
when
I
it
would have
started
never known.
building.
If you didn't
And
if
we
you
wouldn't
didn't
be
get
having this
banned on
conversation.
Spectrum, I don't think we would be here right now.
I never got banned. I didn't
No,
get a ban.
the
I
post,
didn't get
the
a ban.
post,
It
I'm
just
sorry.
got
Yeah,
the post got deleted.
Yeah.
But I didn't get a ban. I still have yet to be banned on Spectrum. And to be honest, I'm quite proud of that because some of the things I think I've skirted the line pretty closely. Not intentionally though. It's just, like if I'm going to call something out, I will do that.
I'm surprised I didn't get a good talking to for my reasonable request. That was I think that was borderline just pretty bad, but it was fun.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm with you, man. This is brutal, and I'm glad. I really consider this all a blessing because I just hope they do the right thing with the feedback we're giving them because this is very far tilted in one direction, and then just a few players that are like don't want PvP in video games, I guess.
Well, it's even like just griefers in general, man. Like a griefer could pick this up and just start targeting content creators. Like that's one of the things. It's like, people like, the example in this case may be that it was a belligerent anti-PvP player. I don't think it was the Carrack owner that submitted the report because they would have been able to, get it actioned earlier. That screenshot was up on Reddit for a few days.
Yeah.
There's posts from people saying, like, who was it? Asking for questions, asking for details. And it's like, somebody doing an investigation could have been a COG employee for all we know, or it could have been, like an anti-PvP member of the community who just saw this and went, I need to act on this. They felt like they were doing the right thing. But the problem is like the evidence, the facts, COG needs to do their due diligence, to the players. And make sure that they're, doing their investigations.
Yep. Do the best by us.
Making
for
sure
once.
that they're looking after us.
Do the best by us for once, guys. It's not all about ship sales. It's not all about looking good. You got to do the best by us. Once in a while, please. Please. But with that, Letty, it's been about a 2-hour show. I know it's really late for you. I got the text from the wife. Are you almost done yet? So that's the sign that I'm going to try and wrap it up. But I really appreciate you coming on and being able to respond to all the reactions out there and the way people are feeling. And I think even in the first video, you articulate yourself so well. And I think that's probably why this popped off the way it did, because you're just a very good voice in the community. And thank you for what you do. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me, man.
Yeah, man.
I thought this was going to be a lot more spicier.
No,
I'm disappointed.
no,
That's all
I
right.
just know that like you need the opportunity to speak, and I'm glad you made a second video about it. I wish I had seen it today. I just didn't know it was there yet. I rolled out of bed this morning and started. So, but yeah, man, thanks again for coming on. I appreciate it, and keep doing what you guys do. And I'm going on a piracy hit in 318. I got to come along one time if you'll have me, of course.
Dude, I will track you down to take you on a piracy hit, whether you like it or not.
All right, nice. All right, we'll see you soon, Letty. Be good, buddy.
Thanks, mate. Catch you.
Bye now. Catch you later. All right, guys, that was Answer the Call. I hope you guys like the new art. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. The artist who made it, Rigamix, is always looking at the comments and seeing them as well, I've noticed. So thank you to him for doing that. Thank you for watching. It's a 2-hour show. If you made it this long, I really appreciate it. It's awesome. I felt really good. It felt like an Answer the Call again. It felt like it's been a while. It's been a while since we had things to talk about, even though it's not the best things in the world to talk about. And we're going a little hard on CIG on some stuff. It felt really good to just have something to talk about that was meaningful, specifically this last subject here. It was meaningful. It has so much meaning on so many different levels that bringing all sorts of people from all around the community to be able to talk about this thing is so important. It's why I put the show together in the first place. So if you're watching on Twitch but you didn't catch the whole thing, it was long, it'll be up on YouTube in a little while. If you're watching on YouTube and you ever want to participate in the show, it's on Sunday mornings, 9-10 a.m. Eastern time. It just depends, like when the topic is good and people were jumping in and we want to go about it. Sometimes we started a little bit earlier, and that's what happened today. But thank you again for watching. And twitch.tv/SaltEMike on Sundays with discord.gg/SaltEMike to pop in the show. So thank you again for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. And I'll see you guys next week. And you know what we're talking about. We better be talking about mining next week. I can't wait. Let's go.